Hey, everybody. Welcome to Move Into the Magic. It's Maxine Taylor with you one more time. And this beautiful lady on screen with me may look familiar to you. It's because I've interviewed her before, and I will probably continue to do so. Her name is Annella Metoyer, and she is a performance improvement coach. Now, that doesn't even begin to tell it. Okay, she really deals with leaders, with executives, so who have a team of people that they work with so that they can dare to be the change in their growing organizations. And the name of her marvelous book is Dare to Be the Change. I highly, highly recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it if I hadn't read it from cover to cover. Annella has been solving complex problems with leaders in industry for about 35 years. And today she coaches business leaders to understand the personality types and the behavioral skills that really create success. Now, she is uniquely qualified. You know, when you apply for a job, they say, well, what makes you unique from all of the other people applying for the job? Annella is going to tell you, and I'm going to give you right now her contact information so that you can contact her at some point in time, because we probably won't have time when she starts talking. You will find her fascinating. Annella, will you jump in and I have two contacts for you. Will you tell everybody how to get in touch with you right now, and then I will stop talking and turn it over to you.
So, Maxine, thanks again for inviting me. I love doing this with you. Truly enjoy the conversation always. In order to get in contact with me, just go to my website, www.annellametoyer.com, and you'll be able to reach me.
Perfect. Perfect. And I highly recommend, Annella, if you are a leader in your own business or corporation, or if you aspire to be a leader, you know, our world is changing so much. There are so many nuances that we have to be aware of that we didn't have before. Annella is supremely qualified to do that. And so, Annella, you might want to start by telling us why you wrote this book and why you are supremely qualified to work with today's and tomorrow's leaders.
Thank you, Maxine. Dare to Be the Change is a book that has been within me for many years. I am a storyteller like my mother, who also wrote a book. And so when I was as a supervisor, I would always give a story to help the individual understand maybe the struggle that they were going through. So many individuals always said, Annella, you got to write this book. And of course, you know, fear comes into releasing yourself out into the world. But ultimately, I knew that writing Dare to Be the Change would give individuals some insight in how to take their adversities and make them their advantage. And I got to tell you, Maxine, since this book has released, wow, so many things has happened since the February 14th release date. And let me give you just a quick example of some things that has been happening. The first is got a call from an individual who is in banking, because as you know, I have a 40-year banking career. And this individual called me and said, Annella, I have always sat in the back and not been the person or the voice in the room. She said, it is now time for me to step out and be the change. So reading the book gave her the strength to step out and be the change. And you know, when I wrote the book, I said, if I affect one person, I've done my job. But oh, Maxine, it's affected so many other people. So I was at a speaking engagement, and I cannot tell you how many people stood in line to talk to me after the speech was given. My husband says, he was sitting in the back, and he says, all of the people that are standing there want to talk to you. So I said, sure, absolutely, I'll talk to each individual. We stayed there 2 hours after the speaking engagement. From the individual that had just lost their job and was transitioned out, and we talked about their particular fear, which I'd love to talk a little bit about that today, because fear keeps coming up. And to be the change, you have to step beyond the fear. So the other individual that was there that just really had some struggle, as this person, it was a gentleman sitting there, and he heard the story of my journey, and he started thinking about his own family. His particular family does not embrace people of color. But guess what happened? One of his own children married an African American individual, and now they have a biracial child that the family does not accept. So he's sitting in the audience, and he hears the speech, and he says, it is time for me to embrace where we are at. It's okay. So as we were standing talking, and he was crying because the emotions got the best of him, he said, I have to be the foundation for my grandchild. I have to be the change in the family. I have to be the individual that now needs to step out and say, this is not right. We must accept individuals just for who they are, not by the color of their skin. So Maxine, the book is affecting more than one individual. It's affecting a lot of people.
Oh, I know that. I know that when you and I talked the very first time, I think it was over the phone, and we could have talked for days. And I said, you are the person I've been looking for to interview. And I have found a few more who dare to step forward in their particular arena. Whether it's healing, whether it's banking, coaching, there are so many people who are stepping forward because was it your father or your grandfather who said, if you don't do it, who will?
It's my father, and he still says it today. He's well in his 80s. So he always said, if you don't, who will? And I will tell you that as I have taken this book and birthed this book and sharing it with so many individuals, one of the messages that keep coming back is, if you don't, who will? And here is why I say that. Because everyone that I talk with end up talking about this 4-letter word, which is fear.
Yes.
And so here is what always ends up happening. So I will tell someone, hey, so tell me how things are going. And they're quick to talk about the word stress. They'll say, my job is stressful. I've been stressed lately, or, I've got a project and oh my goodness, it is just so stressful. So they're quick to say that. So I'm in the grocery store and I'm talking with this young lady, and I said, the one thing that when you're reading the book and we talk about daring to be the change, one of the things that continues to come up is fear. And she said, I'm not fearful. I'm telling you now, I am not a fearful individual. And I said, really? So let me ask you a couple of questions. So do you get anxiety? I mean, do you have insomnia? Do you get some weight gain? I just kept giving her examples, and she said, yeah, I do. Sometimes, yeah. And I said, what causes it? And she said, because I'm stressed. I said, so the word stress is acceptable, but when you say the word fear, you don't want to talk about that now. So I said, are you just fearful of what others are saying about you? Are you fearful because you're listening to that negative voice that's in your ear? Are you denying your own fearfulness? And she stepped back and said, you know, Annella, I am fearful. But Maxine, I'm telling you, I am really looking into this because as I coach individuals, whether it's through transition or leadership skills or whatever, when we get to this point of, if you don't, then who will, the subject comes up, and it's 90% of the individuals that I coach, it still comes back to the word fear. We have to get through the fear before I can help them really identify their competencies and focus truly on their strengths within those competencies. And so the book of Dare to Be the Change is helping people see that, overcome that fear, so that you can find the power to move forward, to be that voice in the room. So one of the ladies said to me, well, Annella, so tell me, when you talk about overcoming fear, what is that? And I said, overcoming fear is power. And she said, I don't understand what you mean, power. I said, so let's talk about that for a minute. My family was my power because they were so foundationally strong that I could take the risk and overcome the fear because they were those individuals. So the young lady that I was talking to said, so Annella, so for me, where do I go? I said, hey, it could be spiritual. It could be someone that is your coach. It could be a family member. It could be that you're helping others. I said, step back and think about when you embrace and help others, how that empowers them and empowers you to be that change. So as I continue to research this, fear still comes back. And so when someone says, well, no, why'd you say dare to be the change? It's dare to overcome that fear so that I can be the change, that I can be the voice. Because if I don't, then who will?
Very, very powerful. In my counseling, what I found is that when we have a dream, when we have something we want to do it so badly, and we know what that is. If I've helped somebody get their life's mission, and they're so excited and they've grabbed hold of it, if they know that it's fear that's holding them back, we find out what they're afraid of. And the question is being the change, is going for your dream, is living your mission more important than the fear? Or is the fear more important than why you came to this planet? Things change real quick. And I'm sure you probably have seen situations like that time and time again. The fear is so great. I was working with somebody years ago, and she said, I'm afraid of taking that step. I said, that's okay. Do it anyway. Do it anyway.
Absolutely.
And I feel that many people, you, for example, are here to help people overcome their fear and thereby be the change. And your book talks about your childhood and the challenges that you had, because as we sit here today, girlfriend to girlfriend, you certainly don't look like a woman who has had challenges, and yet they are innate, based on our culture, based on our society. They're changing thanks to you. There was, in your book, you talk about the event that helped you, that propelled you to dare to be the change. Do you feel comfortable sharing it loosely with us?
So, as you mentioned, there's been so many different events that has happened throughout my lifetime that made me pause and then make decisions that put me in a different space to move forward. In one of the events that happened, I was new in a particular position, and in fact, it was my first job in banking. And an individual walked up to me and said, you owe me. And I was young and naive, and I thought, I owe you for what? And you know what men and women do together. So you owe me, so I expect my payment. And he made a gesture, and then I understood what he was saying. And I remember the fear of running out of that room, getting my purse and getting in my car and running home and making that decision that I would not get into a relationship with someone at work. And that's not for everybody, but for me, that is what caused me to be in that particular space. But at the age that I was, my mother she decided we were going to go back and talk to the manager of the bank at the time, and had that conversation with the manager. And of course, he had the conversation with the individual that made the pass at me, asking me to pay up. And, that was a pivotal moment in my life, that I knew that I would be a support for other women that were approached in that way. And interesting enough, throughout my career, I was one of a few women that stood on a foundation that others could come to me and tell me their particular story. And of course, I was there to help them overcome any type of advances that were made to them, because I was not afraid to approach the individual that might have made that advance, or then we would take it through proper channels through the human resources area. But, it still comes back to, if you don't, then who will? And I was there to be the voice for individuals that, unfortunately, may have had an advance made by someone that was unwanted.
So, the more I get to know you, the more I see how large your outreach is. You deal with many topics, not just one. Any difficult situation, you can help people develop or express their truth, because that's what you stand for. You are a change maker. You develop others. There are a lot of topics that you, a beautiful woman, can address that others cannot. And you've written about your greatest challenges in this amazing book. As I read through it, because you and I have become friends and we've talked, I have to tell my audience, this book is only the tip of the iceberg. There is so much, if you'll read between the lines, there is so much to these stories and to her successes and her triumphs. And because Annella has been through it, she can carry you through it, whether you're a male or a female. It doesn't matter. Her experience in the workplace, her personal experiences will be an inspiration. They are an inspiration. I hate to let you go. I could sit and talk to you all day. Before we end, is there any advice that you have for our audience? Any suggestions that you would like to share? Because, you know, this is free form here. Whatever you would like to say, it's your platform.
So Maxine, here's what I would say to the audience. Don't let fear pull you down, because fear is a space in life that we should not live in. Be that person that is in the space of the freedom, and when you have freedom, then you have fun. Be the change. Help others, because by doing this, you're going to make this world a much better place.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to having you back on the show again. Y'all run out and get this book. You're going to love it. And so until we meet again, remember that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Bye for now.